On Labor Day, the entire province's top track class held a joint mock exam. 42 top students boarded a bus and headed to the test center. When class sweetheart Talel said, "It's so pitiful that everyone has to study, even on Labor Day," she swayed the whole bus in her favor. After photo ops in the flower fields, blessings at the wishing pavilion, and a farmy experience, 41 people followed her from one stop to the next, and I was the only one fighting desperately to get off the bus. In my previous life, I failed to get off in time. The whole class missed the exam, and I was tied up on a mountain road and crushed into pulp this time, standing on the very same bus and watching Talal smile sweetly. "I only wanted to know one thing, without me taking the disaster for you. Can your dream of getting into Chinua and Peking still come true?" Chapter 1. Why don't we listen to what Lely has to say for once? At 7 o'clock on Labor Day morning, just as the bus bound for the third mock exam site pulled out of the school gate, Talal stood up from the third row and began handing out a big bag of lollipops one by one to everyone on the bus. Lely stayed up all night thinking about it. Ever since the new year, everyone had gone without a single day off. And now they still had exams on May Day. That's so exhausting. She blinked her moist, almond-shaped eyes, her chin tucked in slightly, her voice sweet as honey. Lely checked the map and saw that the route to the exam site passed right by that insanely popular lavender flower field. We'd only need 10 minutes to snap a photo and check in. Why don't we go? Think of it as giving ourselves a little boost. The whole bus erupted in cheers. Lely is the most thoughtful. Yeah. Anyway, the exam doesn't start until 9 o'clock. So if we take the long way, we'll still make it in time. The sweet smell of lollipops filled the carriage. I sat in the back row staring at Talalay's hand as she handed out the candy, her knuckles white. I've seen the scene before. Last life. It was the same. Just 10 minutes. 10 minutes turned into 20. 20 into an hour. And after that hour, 42 admission tickets were reduced to waste paper, and me, because I'd argued with her on the bus. I was branded as the one who deliberately picked a fight with Lely and caused everyone to lose focus and be late. On the 7th day after my death, they tied me up on a bend in the mountain road. Gianni Chin crouched in front of me and wound the rope tightly around my wrists. Loop by loop, if you hadn't argued with her, everyone wouldn't have been late. You ruined 41 people's futures. You owe them. As the truck came barreling toward me, I saw Tal standing behind the roadside guardrail, tilting her head with a sweet smile on her face. Lely just wants to make everyone happy. I don't know how many times that voice echoed in my head, until I opened my eyes again. Juan, why aren't you saying anything? Lely is asking everyone for their opinion. I heard Jangi Chin's voice from beside me. I jerked my body away. His hand, reaching for my shoulder, frozen midair, and a trace of irritation flashed across his face. "So what if I touch you? Am I going to eat you or something?" He pulled his hand back, muttering psycho under his breath, then jerked his chin toward Talal. Everyone else agreed. "Only you didn't say a word. Are you trying to ruin the mood again?" I looked at him. His delicate features and neat school uniform collar overlapped with the image in my memory of the men crouching by the roadside tying a rope. Lely's route must be great. We all support it. Talely's lips curved upward slightly. She quickly walked over to my side, reached up to hook her arm through mine, and a milky, sweet perfume drifted over. "Thank you, Sister Ron. Lely knew you were the best." She tiptoed and gently patted Gianni Chen on the shoulder, her tone soft and coaxing as if she were soothing a little animal. "Brother Ichin, don't be so mean to Juan anymore. She just takes a little time to warm up." The tips of Yanni Chen's ears turned red. I lowered my head, dimmed my phone screen to the lowest setting, and sent my sister a message. "Sis, turn on my live location and stay on standby." Chapter 2. A sea of flowers sat beside the national highway, and a banner hung at the entrance. Happy May Day. Check in and get a flower wreath. The driver frowned as he pulled over to the roadside. Students, this place is actually in the opposite direction from the exam site. Stop here for a moment, then hurry up and go. Tal sprang up from the front row and clasped her hands together in front of the driver. Sir, you've worked hard. It's May Day, so you should take a break. 2. Lely brought you a thermos with tea. She brewed herself inside. Sit and have a couple. We'll be back in 10 minutes. She shoved a pink thermos into the driver's hand. The driver took it, seemed to want to say something, but in the end said nothing. The door opened and everyone spilled out. I didn't move. Ruan, aren't you coming down? Yanichin turned back to look at me. I'll wait in the car. He frowned slightly. Everyone's going, but you're not. What's that supposed to mean? Tlili ran back and tilted her head at me. Sister Ruan, are you feeling unwell? Want me to buy you a bottle of water? No. You guys go ahead. She took 2 steps back. Her lips parted as if to say something, but in the end, she said nothing and turned to run toward the entrance of the flower sea. I counted the minutes. 10 minutes had passed. 20 minutes had passed. Outside the window, waves of screams and laughter kept rising and falling. Some people were live streaming from the middle of the flower field with their phones held up while others wore flower wreaths and spun around for photos. Tal stood right in the middle of a sea of flowers, her dress fluttering in the wind, holding up a bunch of lavender and making a heart gesture at the camera. Happy May Day. Lely loves you all. I checked the time. It was 7:45. From here to the exam venue, it normally takes just over an hour, so there was still plenty of time. But Tal's 10 minutes had dragged on until 11 o'clock in my past life. The driver finished his tea in his seat and let out a long yen. I took out my phone and checked it. My sister had already replied. Got the location. I'm on my way. Keep in touch. 10 minutes later, I stood up and walked to the bus door. It's time to go. No one was listening to me. Tal's voice came from deep within the sea of flowers. Everyone come quick. There's a wish tree over here. Making a wish on Labor Day is super effective. Lely wishes everyone gets into Tsinghua or Peking University. The cheers were deafening. I braced myself against the car doorframe and watched them run toward that tree one by one. Yanichin walked beside Talel, leaning down to listen to her talk, smiling now and then. 755805. They finally came back in 2s and 3s, each with a red string tied around their wrist. Tlili was the last to get on the bus, with flower petals on her clothes and her cheeks lightly sun-kissed. All right, let's go. Lely's May Day cheer-up ritual for everyone is complete. The applause was thunderous. The bus started up again. I kept my eyes on the ETA on the GPS 902. We were already hanging by a thread. Driver, turn right at the intersection ahead and get on the highway. I called out. Lely glanced back at me, suddenly let out an ah and sprang up from her seat. Wait. Lely remembers now. She pulled out her phone, swiped a couple of times, and held the screen up to the driver. Sir, turn left at this intersection and go 3 kilometers. There's a May Day farming experience park there, and lots of students from other schools are checking in there. We can't fall behind. No, I blurted out. The whole carriage fell silent. Tal slowly turned around and looked at me, the smile gradually freezing on her face. Sister Juan, what's wrong? Chapter 3. A girl in the back row named Zayam pulled out her phone and pointed the camera at me. Shinruin, I'm recording this. Every time you open your mouth, you ruin the mood. Do you even know how long Lely spent preparing for today's outing? She was Tal's desk mate and also the fastest gossip in the whole class. In her previous life, she was the one who spread the rumor all over the grade that Qinwan deliberately picked a fight with Lely, causing the whole class to be late. I'm on WeChat with Teacher Xiao. If you keep targeting Lely, I'll screenshot it and send it to her right away. I looked at her hand holding up her phone and ignored her. It's 8:15 already. The exam starts at 900 and it's another 10 minutes from here to the highway entrance. Jo Min raised her phone even higher. Look at you always saying things nobody wants to hear. Who doesn't know? There's an exam at 9 o'clock. Lely just feels for everyone and wants us to relax a little. And here you are of the whole class. You're the only one wide awake. The only one who thinks you're so great. Exactly. A boy beside her chimed in. Everyone else gets to have fun over Labor Day. But we still have to take an exam. Lely finally managed to carve out a little time for everyone to enjoy themselves. Can you stop ruining it? Tal tagged at Jo Min's sleeve and said softly, Min Man, don't argue with Sister Wan. She's only anxious because she cares about everyone. Lely doesn't blame her. Min glared at me and put away her phone. Jang Chen walked over and rested one hand on the back of my chair. Come on. Does those 10 minutes really matter? Did I owe you one from a past life or something? The moment those words came out of his mouth, I almost laughed. He went on, take a lap around the Farm Experience Park and head out. Snap a few photos while you're at it and hand them in for your May Day practicum assignment. 2 birds with 1 stone. You're always like this. You don't join the activities. You don't turn in the assignments. So, what are you going to use to earn points for your final comprehensive evaluation? Tal chimed in from the front. Exactly. Lely only looked up this park because she remembered everyone still hadn't turned in their practical assignment. It's all for everyone's own good. She blinked innocently. The whole bus rang out with a chorus of thank you, Lely. The driver glanced at the rearview mirror and asked hesitantly, So, are we turning right onto the freeway or left toward that whatever it is? Garden? 41 pairs of eyes turned on me. I closed my mouth. The bus turned left. Chapter 4. At the entrance to the Farming Experience Park, a wooden signboard stood there with 8 big red painted characters. Labor on May Day. The most beautiful practice. Tal was the first to hop off the bus. She pulled a straw hat out of her bag, put it on, and spun around. This really feels like hard work. Lely is the most beautiful labor on May Day. She ran toward a vegetable plot with a staff member from the garden trailing after her, dazed and handing her a little troll. Classmate, you can try planting vegetables here. It's 20 yuan per person and you get a whole row. Jang Chan walked over and pulled out his phone to scan the QR code. There are 42 people in the class. I'll pay. Ta. Lely scooted over, grabbed his sleeve with both hands, and gave it a little shake. Brother Chin is the most generous. Lely, thanks on behalf of everyone. She turned around and called out to the whole class. Come on. Everyone, plant a vegetable and make a wish. Saw hope on Labor Day. Harvest fruit for the college entrance exam. This idea is absolutely brilliant. It would be a shame if Lely didn't become a planner. 40 people swarmed into the vegetable patch, crouched down in the dirt, digging furiously, splashing mud all over themselves, their laughter rising and falling all around. I stood still at the entrance. They 28:32 minutes until the exam starts. Navigation says the fastest route from here to the exam venue takes 47 minutes. It's already too late. No, if I get on now and take the highway, there might still be a slim chance if I can make it within the 15-minute grace period after the exam starts. Driver. I walked over to the bus where the driver was scrolling on his phone in the driver's seat. I need to leave early. Could you drive me to the exam site now? The driver looked up at me. Just you. The others aren't leaving. The others are still in the vegetable patch. He clicked his tongue. No way. I'm supposed to shuttle the whole class by chartered bus. I can't just take you and leave. What about everyone else later? Talk to your teacher. If the teacher says I should go, I'll go. I took out my phone and dialed Mr. Joe's number. Busy signal. I dialed 3 times in a row, and it was a busy signal every time. Tal's scream came from over by the vegetable patch. A bug. A huge bug. Brother Chin, come save Lily. Jangy Chen dashed over and hurriedly brushed the mud off her skirt. I shoved my phone back into my pocket and felt the second message my sister had sent 2 hours earlier at the bottom of it. I'm already waiting at the highway exit near your school. Just let me know if you need anything. Chapter 5. I walked toward the back of the bus, planning to slip out through the park's rear entrance and wait for my sister's car on the national highway. Shinron Jangy Chen's voice came up behind me. I quickened my pace, and he caught up in just a few strides and blocked my way. Where are you going? I've got something to do. I'm heading out first. What could be more important than the third mock exam? I looked at him. The third mock exam starts at 9 o'clock. It's 8:35 now, and the navigation says it takes 47 minutes to get to the exam hall. You do the math. Do I still need to stay here? He froze for a moment, pulled out his phone to check the time, and his face changed. Why are you panicking? We'll all go together once we're on the highway. It'll be faster. We'll definitely be there in 40 minutes. Go tell them to get in the car now. He glanced back at the vegetable patch. Tlili was crouching on the ground, using a small shovel to dig the soil, little by little, with 7 or 8 people gathered around teaching her. As for Lely, just give it 5 more minutes. 5 minutes later, she'll say, "Give me 5 more minutes." Could you not be so harsh? Lely was doing it for everyone. For everyone's good. On Labor Day. For everyone's good. We took the whole class to look at flowers, work in the fields, and make wishes, and skip the exam. I raised my voice. Someone in the vegetable patch turned and looked over, and Jenny Chen's expression darkened. He grabbed my wrist tightly, lowering his voice to a near whisper. Keep your voice down. You're always like this. Everything's fine, and you have to go and make things unpleasant. I know you don't like Lely, but you can't use the exam to threaten everyone just because you're jealous. Jealousy. He had used that same word in his previous life, too. Shinron, you're just jealous that Lely is more likable than you. So, when you saw everyone being late, you were actually pleased, weren't you? I yanked my hand out of his grasp. I don't care what anyone else does. I'm leaving now. His hand reached out again, gripping even tighter than before. If you leave and Teacher Joe asks about it later, how are you going to explain it that you left the group on your own? Then you explain it. You're the class monitor. I'm the class monitor. So, I can't let you go off on your own. If something happens, who's going to take responsibility? Looking at his solemn, righteous face, I suddenly really wanted to ask him one question. You've already been admitted. So, what are you nervous about? But I didn't ask. I asked him in my previous life, and he denied it flat out. Afterward, he even turned around and accused me of spreading rumors. I stopped arguing with him and went around him toward the back door. He shouted, "Shinowin, you stop right there." I didn't stop. He stamped his foot behind me, didn't come after me, and turned to run toward the vegetable patch. Lael, Shinron is going off on her own. Hurry up and tell everyone to get on the bus. Tal stood up from the muddy ground and tilted his head. Leaving this soon. But Lely isn't done planting yet. She looked down at the shallow little hole she dug and pouted. Okay, then everyone give Lely 2 more minutes. Lely will plant the seedling and then we'll go. 2 minutes. Another 2 minutes passed. I didn't turn back. Chapter 6. When I got to the side of the highway, a gray sedan was parked on the shoulder. The window rolled down and my sister looked at me. Get in. I opened the car door and got into the front passenger seat. Shinrochu didn't ask any questions and flirted onto the highway. I looked down at my phone. 8:41. Navigation has been recalculated. Fastest route 39 minutes. There's still a grace period for entry until 9:20. You will make it, but only just. So, can you talk now? Why did you make me follow your location first thing this morning? She spoke in a calm, measured voice, her eyes fixed ahead. Someone in the class led everyone on a detour. A detour? Where to? First the sea of flowers, then the farm garden, Aren't you guys going to take an exam? That's what I thought. 2. She was silent for a few seconds. What about the people on the bus? Still growing vegetables. Her sister's hand tightened on the steering wheel. She didn't ask any more questions. The car held steady at 120 kilometers an hour, and the road signs flashed by one after another. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered it, and on the other end was a middle-aged man speaking very politely. Hello, is this Shinyuin? I'm with the Provincial Academic Competition Organizing Committee. The results are out for the entry you submitted last time. I'm not available right now. Let's talk later. I'm done for. My sister glanced at me and didn't ask any questions. 28 minutes left. My phone rang again. This time it was a WeChat group message from the Tingby class group. Tal sent a 60-second voice message. I tapped it and her voice was all sweet and sugary. Everyone, don't panic. Lely already had the driver get on the highway. Lely has done the math. Well, make it in time. A whole row of replies below. Lely is the best. As long as Leiloi is here. I can relax. Happy May Day and good luck on your exam. I muted the group chat, leaned back in my chair, and closed my eyes. In my previous life, this voice message was sent at 8:52 and they finally arrived at the exam venue at 9:37. 17 minutes past the grace period. The iron gate was closed and not a single person got in. Chapter 7. The exam venue was set at City. No, one high school. Yellow tape had been strung across the entrance, and the SWAT team and the inspection crew were standing in a line. My sister's car pulled up at the intersection at 9:13, and I shoved the door open and ran. Your exam admission ticket. The person at the entrance stopped me, my hands trembling. I pulled it out of my backpack and handed it over. He glanced over it and checked the names against the list from the top prep. Class, your school said a whole bus load was coming. You're the only one. The others are on their way. He checked his watch and stepped aside for minutes left. Hurryin'. I sprinted across the playground, nearly tripping at the corner of the teaching building and barely made it into the exam room on the last ring of the bell. The proctor looked up at me, then pointed to my seat. Shinron. Yes. Sit. I slumped in my chair, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst, my ears ringing with a constant buzz. After lying there for a minute and getting my breathing under control, I picked up the pen. The first multiple-choice question was about differentiating a function. My hand was shaking. I had to write it twice before I filled in the answer correctly. A commotion was coming from outside, growing louder and louder. We're from the top science class in the city, and the city's best students are all on this bus. What do you mean you won't let us in? Through the first floor window, I saw the bus pull up crookedly at the school gate, its door wide open as people hopped off one by one. Tal was standing in front, still with flecks of mud on her skirt and a straw head hanging behind her neck. She stood on tiptoe and lifted her face toward the inspection team. Uncles and aunties. We ran into a tiny little problem on the way and ended up a teeny bit late. Could you cut us some slack, please? She folded her hands over her chest and tilted her head. That same posture, that same tone, just like when she made the whole class take a detour on the bus. The inspection team members were expressionless. The entry time has passed. Please contact the school. Jangi-chan stepped forward, pushed up his glasses, and stood very straight. You may not realize the situation, but we're the city's top track class. More than half of this year's spots for Tsinghua and Peking University in the whole city depend on us if you keep us out here. How are you going to answer for the admissions figures at the end of the year? The SWAT officers didn't budge. Jang Ichin's voice rose another notch. I'm the class monitor, Yanni Chen. I can sign a guarantee on behalf of the whole class. We'll make up for the time we're late ourselves. Yanni Chen. A voice came from behind the crowd. Teacher Joe's suit was rumpled, his hair a mess as if it had been whipped by the wind. He was gripping his phone so tightly that his knuckles had gone white. Jenny Chin swallowed the rest of what he was about to say. Everyone looked anxiously at Teacher Joe. Only Tao. Lily clattered over to Teacher Joe, holding out a red string with both hands and looking up at her with a smile. Teacher Joe, this is something Lily prayed for you on the May Day wishing tree. May it keep you healthy. Chapter 8. Clap. The red string was knocked to the ground. Ta. Lily clutched her hand and stared blankly at Teacher Zhao. You Teacher Ho's lips were trembling as he pointed at each of them one by one. What exactly did you do? The driver called me at 7:30 and said that 5 minutes after the bus set off, it turned into some kind of sea of flowers. He couldn't stop you, and then the call got cut off. I made 17 calls and not a single person picked up. His voice grew louder and louder. I contacted the traffic police, the inspection team, and each of your parents. Do you have any idea the whole school has been looking for you for the past 2 hours? Everyone fell silent. Talay pouted, tears trembling on her lashes, ready to fall at any moment. But Lily just wanted everyone to have a happier Labor Day. Teacher Zhao ignored her and turned to Zhang Yiqin. You're the class monitor. Why didn't you stop her? Zhang Yiqin opened his mouth, then closed it again. Teacher, how dare you even stand there? Teacher Joe said, his voice forced up from his throat, deep and hoarse. Don't you know you didn't need to take this exam? You already got your recommendation letter last winter. The air went still. 40 pairs of eyes turned to Zhang each and at once. Early admission. The first to speak was Yi Jun, who was sitting on the doorstep. He was an athlete and had to rely on this third mock exam to score points in his academic subjects. You got early admission, and you still dragged us alone to go plant vegetables. Yanni Chen's lips moved, but no sound came out. He Jun stood up and hurled the crumpled entrance exam permit in his hand at Janie Chen's chest. My mom has been selling vegetables at the market for 17 years to put me through high school, all for this one chance. And you're telling me you got in through a direct recommendation. His voice echoed at the doorway. Someone started sobbing. Someone crouched down, and someone leaned against the wall in silence. Tal took 2 steps back, stumbled as the crowd jostled her, and her straw had slipped off her neck and got stepped on. And no, it has nothing to do with Lily. Her voice started to tremble. Jo Min was standing at the very edge of the crowd, still holding up her phone, the little red recording dot blinking on and off. I sat in the exam hall, taking it all in through a window and a barred iron door. The invigilator walked over and drew the curtain shut. Answer your paper. I picked up my pen and bent back over my work. Chapter 9. After handing in my paper for the first subject, I sat in the hallway drinking water. My phone was blowing up with messages. The elite class group chat was already going crazy. Min sent over a dozen voice messages in a row, but I didn't open them. My sister sent me a message. How did it go? Pretty well. You should head back first. I still have one more exam this afternoon. I'm not leaving. I'll stay parked up front and wait for you so we can head back together after you're done. I replied with a simple, okay. I opened the news app and scrolled a couple of times, but there was still nothing about it on the trending list. But it wouldn't be long now. Footsteps came from the other end of the corridor. It was a middle-aged man from the inspection team holding a roster and a walkie-talkie. He gave me a quick glance. You're the only one from the Tingbei class who made it in. Yes. What's your name? Shinron. He crossed it off the list. Do your best on this afternoon's exam. Don't let outside matters affect you. He finished speaking and turned to leave. The commotion outside was growing louder, and I could faintly hear the parents' voices. I walked over to the window and looked out through the gap in the blinds. Dozens of people had gathered at the school gate. Some were holding up their phones to record videos. Others were shouting at the top of their lungs. Several parents pushed up to the inspection team, and one middle-aged woman stood on tiptoe, craning to get a look inside. My son ranked in the top 10 in the city on the mock exam, and you're not letting him in. Are Tsinghua and Peking University even going to take anyone this year? A man nearby was shouting at the top of his lungs. What kind of exam is held on May Day? The schedule was wrong from the start. The people from the inspection team stood in the middle, holding their hands out in front of them, repeating the same thing over and over. Everyone is equal before the rules. No one may enter 15 minutes after the exam starts. No exceptions. The crowd erupted into a cacophony of curses and abused. Tal stood at the back of the crowd. At some point, she had changed into a pair of slippers and the mud on. The hem of her skirt had dried into little flakes that crumbled off onto the ground. Janie Chin stood beside her half an arm's length away. He said something in a low voice, and Talael shook her head. Then she suddenly lifted her face toward the crowd, her voice sweet and trembling. Come on, everyone, stop arguing. Lely can call that uncle at the Education Bureau and have them arrange a makeup exam for us. Okay, Lely's uncle knows people at the Education Bureau. After 2 seconds of silence, someone let out a cold laugh. If your uncle were actually useful, would you still be standing here with the rest of us? Tal's smile froze on her face. This was a crack that hadn't existed in her previous life. In her previous life, right up until the very end, everyone had protected her. But this time, they were not just a few minutes late. They were a full half-hour late. The flower sea, the wishing tree, and the farming garden. Every stop was time-stamped. At every stop, someone took a photo. Chapter 10. The farce at the school gate lasted for nearly an hour. By the time I went into the exam hall for my second subject, the bus was still parked at the entrance. There were only a few people left on board. Most of the parents had already left with their children. Before leaving, someone had kicked the bus tire and someone else had torn up the tickets to Flower Sea and scattered the pieces into the air. Tal was sitting on the bus steps, clutching the red cord she had picked up from the ground. I took one last look from the window. She was trembling. After I finished the afternoon exam, I came out of the exam hall and it was almost dark. A few more news vans had pulled up by the school gate with microphones and cameras trained on the inspection team leader in a half circle. May I ask? Since the entire city's top track classes were absent for the exam, will you arrange a makeup test? The inspection team leader pushed up his glasses. The third mock exam is a citywide standardized test, and its rules are the same as the college entrance exam. Anyone who arrives later than the allotted time will not be allowed in. There are no makeup exams, but all 41 of these students are among the very best in the entire city. No one has the right to place themselves above the rules. He paused for a moment, and as far as we know, their lateness was entirely their own fault, with no force measure involved. The camera pans to the crowd where a reporter stops a few students who haven't left yet. Students, why are you late? No one said a word. A girl pushed her way out of the crowd with her head down while another boy covered his face with his backpack and hurried off. Tal was still sitting on the bus steps when the reporter held out a microphone to her. Are you the classmate who organized everyone to take the long way around? She lifted her head. Her lips trembled several times before she suddenly turned and shouted at the crowd. It's not Lely's fault alone. It was Xinhuan. Everyone look over here. It was her arguing with Lely the whole time in the car and saying nothing but miserable, upsetting things. She got Lely so worked up that Lely lost focus and took the wrong turn. She got up from the steps, ran a few paces toward the school gate, stumbled and fell, her knee hitting the concrete. She got back up and kept shouting, and then she slipped away on her own. She knew full well we couldn't catch up, but she didn't tell us. She ran off by herself. Her finger slipped through the iron bars of the gate, pointing toward the exam hall. She's in there. Out of 42 people, she's the only one who went in. She did that on purpose. The crowd stirred. Several parents who hadn't left yet turned around and stared through the school gate. I was standing in the first floor corridor of the teaching building when our eyes happened to meet. A middle-aged woman rushed to the iron gate and slapped the bars. You're the one who left our child behind and ran in on your own. More parents crowded around, and someone reached through the gaps in the bars, only to be stopped by the SWAT officers. Hey, you there? Come out here and explain yourself. So, you just ran off on your own and left it at that. Why didn't you take everyone with you? Were you doing this on purpose? I stood in the hallway, staring from more than 10 meters away at the flushed faces outside the iron gate. Yanni Chen was standing at the very back of the crowd. He didn't join in shouting, but he didn't say a word in my defense either. His eyes were on me through the iron gate, and the look in them was complicated. I bent down, took something out of my backpack, and headed toward the school gate. The special police stepped aside to make a narrow opening. I stood by the doorframe, facing everyone outside through the iron bars. When Talal saw me come out, he took a step back, still pointing in my direction. See for yourselves. She's the one. I held up the thing in my hand. A voice recorder. Every word spoken by everyone on the bus this morning from 73 to 8:39 isn't here. Tlili's hand frozen. Madair, who is the one who suggested going to the Sea of Flowers, who agreed to take the detour, who said, "What's 10 minutes between friends?" Who said Lely is the best. I press played. Tal Lely's voice came out of the recorder, sweet to the point of cloying. We've all been working so hard for so long, and you can't even take a day off for Labor Day. How pitiful is that? Then Jang Ekin's voice came through. What's 10 minutes? Did I owe you one in a past life? Then came Min's voice. Look at you always saying things nobody wants to hear. Then came the voices of 40 people one after another, some laughing, some jeering, some cursing at me in dead silence. I turned off the recorder. I tried to stop it 5 times, and every single time I was overruled. I asked to get out 3 times. The first 2 times they held me back, and the 3rd time I jumped out and ran. I spent an hour and a half in this car, and the most I said the whole time was go. Iwotsit Salile. You can call me selfish because I really did save only myself. But you have no right to say I heard you. Tal's lips trembled, and he couldn't say a word. The voice recorder was still in my hand. It contained a complete 96-minute recording, starting from the very first second the bus started up. It was quiet outside the school gate for a long time. The first to leave was the middle-aged woman. She let go of the railing, grabbed her daughter by the arm, and walked off without looking back. Then came the second, then the third. The parents left one by one. Some tossed out a curse as they went. Not at me, but at their own children. What the hell were you thinking? Following an idiot to look at flowers. Have you lost your damn mind? Labor Day. What the hell are you working for? What have you actually done? Grown some vegetables. You think growing vegetables can get you into Tsinghua or Peking University. Tal stood at the increasingly empty school gate, watching people leave one after another until only she and Jan Chin remained. She looked back at him. Brother Chin. Janie Chin said nothing. He turned and left. Tal lowered her head. The red string slipped from her fingers and fell to the ground where the wind rolled it twice before it hit the edge of the flower bed and stopped. Chapter 11. The recording blew up online. I had no idea which reporter had secretly filmed the screen on the spot along with those few things I'd said and uploaded it that night. The top trending topic read, top students from the elite class skipped the 3rd mock exam to go flower viewing and vegetable planting over May Day. The only girl who showed up was carrying a full recording. The next morning, when I got to school, everyone in the hallway was looking at me differently. It wasn't sympathy, and it wasn't flattery either. It was some hard-to-describe look as if overnight I had gone from being invisible to being a different species. Teacher Joe was waiting for me in the office. Sit. I sat down. He rubbed his temples and looked at me for a long time. When did you start recording? I started as soon as I got in the car. Why? Because I knew something would go wrong. He didn't ask how I knew. He just nodded, pulled a sheet of paper from the drawer, and slid it over to me. The mock exam results are out. It was a citywide exam with a total of 800 candidates. My name is at the very top of the list, first in the city. Teacher Joe looked at the report card and stayed silent for quite a while. There are 42 students in the singing class. 41 of them missed one subject. So, their scores were invalidated. Only you took every exam and ranked first in the city. He took back the report card. The city is already discussing your singing recommendation. You should receive an official notice next week. I stood up. Thank you, teacher. As I was about to reach the door, he called out to me, Shinron, in the 3 years since I started school, this was the first time I felt like I truly saw you for who you are. I said nothing, closed the door, and left in the hallway. Min was blocking the stairwell, her phone playing some video I couldn't make out. When she saw me coming, she turned off the screen. Her lips moved slightly as if she wanted to say something. I walked past her without stopping. Shinron. She spoke from behind me, her voice no longer sharp, but a little hoarse. Why didn't you just tell us that day that it was too late? I glanced back at her. I said it 5 times. Her face gradually turned pale. I turned around and went upstairs. Chapter 12. That afternoon, when the results of the 3rd mock exam were announced, 3 cars were parked at the school gate. The first one was Tal's mom's electric scooter. Tal was sitting in the back seat, bare-faced, and with her hair casually tied back with a rubber band, looking 2 years older. Her mom stormed into the academic office, shouting at the top of her lungs, "Why should my daughter have to take the blame all by herself? Didn't the whole class agree to it? Why is she the only one being punished?" The head teacher's voice came through the door. Tal was the one who proposed it and organized it, so the punishment is justified. As for the other students, the school will handle each case according to the circumstances. What circumstances? She's just a little girl. Does saying a few nice things make her the organizer? What about the ones who followed along and that class monitor? The second car was Jang Chen's father's black sedan. As Janie Chen got out of the car, I happened to be walking out of the lab building. We were separated by a flower bed and he saw me. He stopped. I stopped too. Shinron. His voice was flat with neither anger nor remorse. As if he were reciting a name he didn't recognize that recording. You started it as soon as you got in the car. Yes. You knew from the start that something would go wrong. Yeah. You were planning to run off on your own from the start. I looked at him from the very beginning. I planned not to die with you. He froze for a moment, the corner of his mouth twitching, then turned and walked away. The third car was one I didn't recognize, a dark blue businessman parked at the outer edge of the school gate with no one getting out. It wasn't until I reached the school gate, ready to head home, that the window rolled down. Inside sat a middle-aged woman wearing glasses and a gray suit with a very neat, refined air about her. Student Shinron. Who are you? My surname is Fawn. I'm with the Provincial Academic Competition Organizing Committee. I called you before, but you hung up. Oh, I remember now. The phone call she answered in the hallway outside the exam room on the day of the test. The piece you submitted for the competition last time has been judged. She adjusted her glasses. First prize in the province. Chapter 13. The news that I had won first place at the provincial level hadn't been made public. Teacher Fun told me not to spread the word yet, saying the formal combination would have to wait until next month's provincial education conference. I tapped the certificate into the very bottom of my backpack and went home. My sister was in the kitchen cooking noodles when she saw me come back. She brought the bowl over to the table. Eat. I sat down and started eating the noodles. I heard you came first in the city. What about that girl who stirred up trouble? She got disciplined. My sister leaned against the stove, arms crossed. Would she really just let it go? I didn't answer. In her past life, Talay never knew how to let things go. What she was best at was bouncing back after being exposed, always with an even sweeter face. just as expected. The next day, a long post appeared on Moments. It was posted by Tal Lely, and it wasn't in her usual sweet, cutesy tone. I know everyone's been criticizing me. Lely really did make a mistake on May Day. Lely just thought everyone had been working too hard and wanted to cheer everyone up a little. I never expected it to be this late, and I never expected things to turn out like this. I feel awful, and I've been crying nonstop. If I could, I'd be willing to take all the punishment on behalf of everyone. I don't dare ask for everyone's forgiveness. I just want to say that Lely never had any ill intentions. Not ever. I also want to apologize to Sister Juan that day at the school gate. I shouldn't have pointed at you and said those things. You were right. You're clearer-headed than any of us. Soon, hundreds of comments piled up under that post. Lely, don't cry. You didn't mean to do it either. At the end of the day, it was the people who went along themselves who lacked common sense. What did this have to do with Lely? Shin Ruan wasn't much better. She just took off without saying a word, which was pretty selfish. 2. I looked at those comments and put my phone down. Min forwarded this post to the class group and added, Lely has already apologized. Shouldn't we also reflect on ourselves? No one replied, but I knew the winds were shifting. The third day, Haijin came to me. Shinron, I need to tell you something. He handed me his phone. On the screen was the chat history from another group. Tal had started a new group and added everyone who'd been on the car that day except you. I scrolled down. Tal had sent a lot of messages in the group, sounding aggrieved but polite. Don't worry, everyone. Even if we bombed the third mock exam, it's not the end of the world. We still have the college entrance exam. Lely has already asked her uncle to look into it and see if there's any way to make up for it. By the way, has anyone thought about this? Was Shin Ruowan's recording prepared in advance? Would a normal person start recording as soon as they got in the car? Did she know beforehand that we would be late? If she did, why didn't she just tell the teacher directly? She only saved herself. Doesn't that count as standing by and doing nothing? Hee-jun put his phone away. I don't buy her act. But a lot of people in the group have started chiming in. Chapter 14. Tal's counterattack came even faster than it had in her past life. Last time she relied on crying, acting cute, and pretending to be innocent. This time she got smarter and played the I was wrong card. Once someone has admitted fault, their questioning of others comes across as much more impartial. On the fourth day, an anonymous printed sheet appeared next to the bulletin board in the great hallway titled A Few Questions About the Recording Incident. First, Shin Rua started recording as soon as she got on the bus that night, which suggests she had already anticipated what might happen. Why didn't she notify the teacher and the school right away? A second, Shin Rul left the bus alone at 8:39 p.m. and her sister was already waiting on the nearby highway, which suggests she had made an evacuation plan in advance. Was someone who had already planned an escape acting to protect herself or deliberately letting things happen? Third, if Shinron had called the police or contacted a teacher immediately after her first attempt to stop them failed, would there still have been a chance to intercept the 41 students in time and send them back onto the right path? Was she really the victim or just another kind of bystander? I stood in front of the bulletin board and read the notice twice. The wording was crisp and the logic was clear. Unlike TLE style, Min's voice came from behind me. You saw it. I didn't turn around. This note wasn't written by Lely. Don't pin this on her. I never said she wrote it. Then what do you think? Min leaned in half a step, lowering her voice with a hint of probing. A lot of people are asking that question. You knew something was going to happen. So why didn't you call the police? I called Teacher Joe 3 times, but it was busy every time. Then you could have called 110. Would 110 really get involved just because a bus took a detour to look at flowers? Joe Min fell silent for a moment. I reached out and tore the paper off the bulletin board. What are you doing? The bulletin board belongs to the school. Posting anonymously counts as a violation. I folded the paper twice and tucked it into my pocket. If you want to discuss it, bring it up in class meeting and let everyone speak face to face. I left. Joe Min stood there for a long while. After the second class, in the afternoon, June stopped me in the hallway. There's more news. He shoved his phone screen right in front of me. Tal posted a voice message in that new group. It went something like this. Lely thinks we're all victims here, so there's no point in making things hard for each other. Lely plans to talk to Shinron in person, clear up the misunderstanding, and make peace. What do you all think? The replies below are all over the place. Lely is pretty magnanimous. Shinron may not agree. You know what kind of person she is, don't you? I think both Lely and Shinron have issues. Hyjin turned off his phone. She's coming to see you. Whatever. Aren't you even going to get ready? Get ready for what? Hyjin glanced at me, swallowed hard, and said nothing more. Chapter 15. Sure enough, Talael showed up after school. She was standing at the entrance of the teaching building, not in her school uniform, but in a white dress. Her hair had been washed and blow-dried, and she looked a lot more energetic than she had a few days ago. But she wasn't wearing any lipstick, and her makeup was very light, just the right amount of haggard. Zoa Min was with her along with two other girls. Sister Ruan. She walked up to me, her voice soft. Could Lely talk to you for a minute? People around us had already started. Looking over, the crowd of students leaving school split into two streams beside us. Some slowed their pace, while others stopped altogether. Go on. Lely has thought about what happened that day for many days. Lely really shouldn't have led everyone the long way around. That was Lely's fault, and Lely admits it. She lowered her head, her voice even softer. But Sister Juan, I want to ask you a question in person. Go on. She lifted her head, her almond-shaped eyes shimmering with a thin sheen of tears. You started recording the moment you got in the car, and your sister was already waiting for you on the highway first thing this morning. Did you know from the very beginning that we wouldn't make it? It fell silent around them. There were at least 20 people listening. If you knew you weren't going to make it, why didn't you just go talk to the teacher? Why didn't you stop the bus? Your recording can prove you tried to stop it 5 times. But if you'd sent it to teacher, Joe, the first time you tried to stop it. She paused and took a breath. Can everyone still make it to the exam? She finished speaking. It was very quiet. Someone whispered. That actually makes sense. I looked at Talael. Her eyes were brimming with tears, but they didn't fall. Her lips were pressed into a slight line. It wasn't hurt, but restraint. The traces of performance had already been polished away to something very faint. You're right, I said. She froze for a moment. I did start recording as soon as I got on the bus, but not because I knew you were taking the whole class to see the flowers. It was because, during the last monthly exam, you slipped your cheat note into my test paper and the proctor caught it. I went to confront you, and you said through tears that Lely had accidentally knocked it out. After that, I learned one thing. I looked at her. Whenever I'm with you, I have to leave evidence behind. Her lips quivered. As for why I didn't call Teacher Joe, I did 3 times. You can check the call log. 758, 804, and 811. All busy signals. Why not call 1110? Because a tour bus taking a detour to see lavender doesn't count as an emergency. Why didn't you stop the bus? I tried 5 times, and every time you all shouted me back twice. Jang Yi-chin grabbed my wrist and wouldn't let me move. That's all I had to say. He paused for 2 seconds. Anything else you want to ask? Tal's tears finally spilled over. This time they really fell. She wasn't pretending. She turned and ran. Min stood frozen in place, mouth agape, unable to close it for a long time. The crowd slowly dispersed in 2s and 3s. Some people were on their phones sending messages, while others walked away quickly with their heads down. I bent down and straightened my backpack strap, then turned and headed toward the school gate. Jen followed after me. How come I never heard about that cheating incident on the midterm exam? Because the proctor wrote down my name in the end. He hissed. She stuffed the note into your exam paper. So, you take the blame. She cried, and the teacher believed her. Hyjin muttered a cursed chapter 16. By then, no one had really remembered the cheating incident from that monthly exam. But the conversation after school that day was caught on video. The video spread to the grade chat and then made its way beyond the school. The clip of Talael confronting Shinron in person only to have her own dirty laundry aired shot to no 2 on the trending list. The comment section split into 2 camps. One side said Shinron was cold and selfish and that she stood by and did nothing when someone was in danger. One side said Talili's talent for looking innocent was practically on par with a professional actor. But both sides agreed on one thing. This wasn't over yet. The Provincial Education Conference was set for mid-May. A week before the conference, the school informed me that I would represent the Chinua Piking University track class at the awards ceremony on the grounds that I had placed first in the city on all 3 mock exams and won first prize in the provincial competition. When word got out that I'd won first prize in the provincial competition, the hallway outside our grade was abuzz with chatter. No one knew I'd even taken part in the provincial contest. Even fewer knew I'd won first prize. I'd never once mentioned it in class. When did she even sign up? I never heard anything about registration. Do you know what a first prize provincial award means? It's worth 20 extra points on the gallo, and some universities will even admit you directly. No wonder she wasn't nervous about the 3rd mock exam. She had an ace up her sleeve. The news made its way into the group chat Tal had set up. The group stayed completely silent for a full hour. Then Talili sent a message. Wow, Sister Ruan is amazing. Lely is happy for her. Only 2 people replied with Amham. The day of the education conference, I went there in my school uniform. The venue was the municipal auditorium, which could seat over 1,000 people. On the stage sat education officials from the province and the city, and below were principals and teachers from various schools along with the students receiving awards. Teacher Jo was sitting in the 3rd row when she saw me coming over. She stood up and patted the back of my chair seat. I didn't really pay attention to the morning agenda, which was mainly speeches from the leadership and policy briefings. The combination ceremony was at 2000 p.m. First came the provincial model students, then the provincial outstanding student cadres, and then the winners of various competitions. Next, we will announce the list of first prize winners in the provincial subject competition. The host read out a string of names, and I was 4th. Students who won awards, please come up to the stage to receive them. I stood up and walked onto the stage. The lights were bright, and below was a sea of dark silhouettes. I couldn't make out a single face. The award was presented by a deputy director from the Provincial Department of Education. When he handed me the certificate and trophy, he took an extra look at me. Shinron. Yes. The only girl from the Tingmi class who showed up. Yes. He nodded and shook my hand. Do your best on the exam. Don't let yourself down. When I stepped down from the stage, people in the hallway were whispering to each other. Yeah, that's her. The one from the Mayday incident. Seriously. First prize at the provincial level. What about that girl from their school, who always plays cute? That last line made me pause in my tracks because I saw it in the corridor by the side entrance of the auditorium. Tal was standing next to the fire hydrant. She had changed into a floral dress, her hair tied back in a low ponytail, and she was clutching a transparent document envelope containing several sheets of paper. Her mother stood behind her along with a middle-aged man in a suit. She saw me come out and took a couple of steps toward me. Sister Ron, congratulations. Her voice was soft and sweet, and her smile was so sweet and obedient. Lely also has something she'd like to say to everyone today. She lifted the document folder in her hand. Lely has prepared a public self-criticism and wants to read it out at the conference for everyone to hear. Lely wants to apologize in person to all the teachers and students across the province for what happened on May Day. I looked at her. That's not part of the program for the conference. She tilted her head slightly. So, Lay needs Sister Rowan to help put an award with the organizers for me. You just won an award, so they're sure to give you some face. I see she wants to ride on my fame to get on stage if she pulled off a scene of publicly apologizing and vowing to mend her ways here. Her image would shift from a sweetheart who's always causing trouble to a good student who dares to take responsibility. No, the smile on her face faltered. Sister Juan, this is a provincial education conference, not your personal stage. If you want to apologize, go back to school and do it in a class meeting. Her mother rushed up from behind. How dare you talk like that? Young lady, our Lely is swallowing her pride to apologize, and you're still trying to stop her. Are you afraid that once she apologizes, nobody will keep insulting her? Do you just want to see her get attacked? I ignored her mother and turned to leave. After taking 3 steps, I heard a dull thud behind me. I turned around. Tal was kneeling on the ground. Sister Juan, please just let Lely say one thing. Just one thing. There were quite a few people coming and going in the auditorium hallway with a pretty girl kneeling there, and an award winner who had just accepted a prize. It looked more like the latter was bullying the former teacher. Joe came out through the side door and took in the scene at a glance. His expression changed. Tal, get up. Tal didn't move. Her mother held her and started to cry. Our Lely is just too kind, which is why people bully her like this. Teacher Joe came over to my side and said 4 words in a low voice. Leave her. Let's go. I followed him, and Tal Lely called up from behind. Sister Rowan Lely won't give up. Even the voice was sweet. Chapter 17. A week after the education conference, things began to change. The school issued its formal disciplinary decision on the May Day incident in the top academic class. Tal received a major demerit. Jangi Chin was removed from his post as class monitor and stripped of his qualification for a recommended admission spot. The other students involved in taking the deter each received a demerit which was entered into their comprehensive quality evaluation records. By noon on the day, the disciplinary notice was posted on the grade level bulletin board. There was already a line of parents outside the dean's office. A demerit. My kid just followed everyone for a walk. What's he getting a demerit for? It affects their overall evaluation in the Gallo. Even 1 point can make all the difference. The dean's face darkened as he fired back one sentence after another. Your children were on a bus tagging along with a classmate to see flowers, plant vegetables, and make wishes at airplanes, and they missed the citywide exam from start to finish. Only 1 student objected 5 times and chose to get off the bus. Is there anything wrong with the disciplinary action? The parents were stunned, but not completely silent. That evening, Tal's mother posted a message in the parents' group. Tal's uncle has already hired a lawyer. The school unilaterally disciplined the student without giving them a chance to explain or defend themselves, which violates relevant provisions of the education law. Then came a follow-up message. What's more, in this incident, classmate Shin Wan knew the whole class was about to be late, yet left on her own. That behavior is controversial in itself. Our lawyer says it raises a moral issue of failing to help in a dangerous situation. No one in the group, chat replied. But the next day, there was a lot of gossip in the great hallway. I heard Tal's family is going to sue the school. Can they win? Not sure, but her uncle seems to know someone. June found me in the cafeteria at noon. Have you heard? It's Tal's uncle. Yeah, I heard. Are you scared? What's there to be afraid of if she really files a complaint? You'll definitely get called in as a witness or something. Whatever. June took a bite of the steamed bun. I need to tell you something, but don't go spreading it around. Jangi Chin came to see me a couple of days ago. I paused with my chopsticks in hand. What did he say? He said he wanted to talk to you in person, somewhere quiet. He said, He's had something on his mind for a while and never got around to saying it about what happened in the car that day. Why doesn't he come to me himself? He said he was afraid you wouldn't see him. I took a bite of the dish. You're right. I won't see him. Aren't you even curious what he wants to say? No. June muttered something about having a heart of stone and didn't say anything else. But after the third class that afternoon, Jang Chin was still standing at my classroom door. He was leaning against the wall. The sleeves of his school uniform rolled up to his elbows. On his wrist was a watch. It was the birthday gift I had given him before. When I came out of the classroom, he was blocking the way. 5 minutes move. Just 5 minutes. I looked at him. He'd lost weight. His jawline looked sharper than before, and the corners of his mouth were pulled down. That calm top of the class composure was gone. 3 minutes, I said. He let out a breath. I should have spoken up for you that day. I didn't, but you should have told me you were leaving. His voice dropped. You jumped out of the car without saying a word. Do you know what I was? You were helping Talel wipe the mud off her skirt. The words cut in his throat. 3 minutes are up. I walked around him and left. Chapter 18. After Jang Chen's guaranteed admission was revoked, his dad came to the school and caused a huge scene. This wasn't about the school. It was about Talili. He was blocking Tal's classroom door, his voice loud enough for half the floor to hear. My son's guaranteed admission spot. 2 years of hard work ruined by one stupid idea from you, just because you wanted to look at flowers. What makes you think you can afford to make up for that? Tal huddled in her seat, too scared to say a word, while Zhao Min stood in front of her. Sir, please don't get worked up. This isn't just Lely's fault. Cut the talk. I don't care about anyone else. I'm asking her, who's responsible for my son's guaranteed admission? The head of academic affairs hurried over and dragged him away. But the story spread through the grade. Jenny Chen's dad went over to yell at Talili. No way. Aren't those two on the same side? On the same side with his guaranteed admission gone. Let's see if they're still on the same side. The news was leaking out like water. By the afternoon, another piece of news had also spread. Jang Chen's mother went to look for Tal's mother. The two women met at the school gate. Just as Talal's mother arrived on her electric scooter, she was blocked from going any farther. Your daughter ruined my son's future. Do you know what it means to get a guaranteed admission to Tsinghua and Peking University? Even if your family sold groceries for 10 lifetimes, you still couldn't pay that back. Tal's mother fleshed Reed. Your son chose to go along on his own, who is holding a knife to his throat and forcing him. Besides, your son already gotten through a recommendation, so whether he takes the exam or not doesn't affect him. Why didn't he stop everyone? He's the class monitor. That line left the other person speechless. More and more parents and students gathered around someone's filming. Jang Chen's mother raised her voice. My son is the class monitor. What is your daughter? Your daughter is nothing but trouble. Ever since the first day she came to the school, she's been putting on an act, fooling the whole class. My son only did something so stupid because she had him wrapped around her finger. Who are you calling trouble? The two women were yelling right in each other's faces. Security rushed over and pulled them apart. But the video had already been sent to the group chat that night. The video blew up on a local forum title aftermath of the Qing Bay class incident. Parents from both families trade insults at the school gate. The mother of a guaranteed admission student calls out the troublemaker sweetheart, homecoming queen. The comments under the post ran over a dozen pages, and it was almost entirely one-sided. You're already guaranteed a spot, and you still dragged the whole class to their deaths. What else could that be but stupid? Bottom line, one was playing cute to manipulate people, and the other knew it wouldn't affect them. So they just let things go wrong. Neither of them is any good. The only one who acted normally was the girl who ran off on her own. Those calling her selfish can shut up now. I was lying in bed, scrolled through 2 screens, and then turned it off. My sister knocked on my bedroom door. Still awake. Almost. She pushed the door open and came in, then sat down beside my bed. "How's your prep going for next month's college entrance exam?" "No problem." "And your target score?" "Tsinghua and Peking University." She gave me a glance. "Did you know my company has a bidding event for an education project next month?" "Yes." "There's someone from your school on the judging panel." I poked my head out from under the covers. "Who?" "Mr. Joe." I froze for a moment. "He's on the judging panel." "Not just him. The principal of your school is there too." She leaned against the doorframe. "I'm just giving you a heads up so you're prepared. Whatever happens later, don't be scared." "What do you mean?" She gave a faint smile, said nothing, closed the door, and left Chapter 19 2 weeks before the college entrance exam. The school held its final full-scale mock exam. Of the 41 students in the top university prep class who had missed the third mock exam, only 29 were still attending classes as usual. Of the remaining 12, some transferred to regular classes, some went home to study, and some simply gave up. Tal was still there. She showed up in class, right on time every day with a whole new look. No more floral dresses or lace, just a plain white shirt and school trousers. She stopped braiding her hair to tying it back in a ponytail with nothing but a black elastic band. She stopped smiling, stopped acting cute, and stopped sending voice messages in the group chat. In class, she kept her head down and took notes. When class was over, she just sat there in her seat. Unmoving. Min once told someone in the hallway, "Leo really is reflecting on herself now. Look how quiet she is." June happened to pass by and overheard it, then turned back and said to me, "Do you believe that?" "Nope. I don't believe it either." On the day of the final prep exam, I sat in the front row and Talel sat by the window in the back row. After 2 days of exams, the results were out. Tal's score dropped by more than 80 points compared to the third mock exam. After checking the rankings in the hallway, she turned and went into the restroom and didn't come out for a long time. Zhao Min went in to look for her, and when they came out, both of their eyes were red. "Roan." When school was over, Zhao Min blocked my way in front of me. "Lely wants to treat you to dinner." I looked at her wide. "She wants to have a proper talk with you. She's been reflecting on herself these past few weeks, and she's changed a lot. You've seen that, too. She says she's not asking for your forgiveness. She just wants to say a few things from the heart." "No. Can't you just give her a chance?" "I already did. When at the education conference that day, she knelt in front of me and begged me to help her get on stage." That wasn't an apology. It was a calculated move. Zhao Min's face went pale for a moment. "This time it's different. It's different every time I walked around her and left. When I got home, I had a text on my phone from an unknown number. Classmate Shinron. I'm Tal's uncle. Tai, there's something I'd like to talk to you about. Not about my niece, but something else if it's convenient. Please pick a place for tomorrow at noon." I sent a screenshot of the text to my sister. My sister got back to me quickly. Tai deals in building materials and has a bit of local pull, but that's about it. Don't bother with him. I didn't reply to that text, but at noon the next day, Tai showed up at the school gate. He was standing by a black van, smoking, wearing a gray jacket and a gold watch when he saw me come out. He stubbed out his cigarette and took a couple of steps toward me. "Classmates." I didn't stop. "Just 2 minutes of your time. Only 2 minutes." I took 2 steps, then stopped anyway. "Go on." He gave a faint smile. "You're a smart person. So, I'll cut to the chase with Lely's case. You've got the recording. Public opinion is on your side, and the teachers are backing you. You've already won. I'm not here to take you to court. That was just to scare the school. I'm here to make you an offer." "What kind of offer?" "Delete the recording and stop talking about this publicly. I'll give you compensation in cash. You name the amount, as long as it's reasonable." I looked at him. Lely grew up under my watch. She did do something stupid, and she's already paid for it if you keep pounding her like this. She won't be able to take the college entrance exam, and you won't come out ahead either. Why don't we each take a step back? You take the money, and she stays out of trouble. How much? He froze, clearly not expecting me to ask that. You name it. Can you afford a slot at Tsinghua or Peking University? His smile froze for a moment. If you can't afford it, then don't come to me looking for a trade. That recording isn't for sale. It's for staying alive. I turned and walked away. He called out after me, "Girl, don't push it too far." I didn't look back. Chapter 20. Someone saw Tai when he came to see me that afternoon. Rumors were already spreading in the grade group chat. Talili's uncle tried to pay to buy Shinroen's recording, but she refused. After a few rounds of retelling, it turned into the Tao family is trying to buy Shinron's silence for 100,000 yuan. A few more rounds later, the Tao family offered 500,000 yuan. In the end, the story went like this. The Tao family tried to buy off Shinron, but she flatly refused, no matter how the amount changed. Every version ended the same way. Shinron didn't agree. This completely changed how the students in our grade looked at me. I went from that selfish person who ran off to someone you couldn't even buy with money. June saw me in the hallway that afternoon and gave me a thumbs up. You really are tough. I just never had the need. If you're short on cash, you can tell me. I'm good. He scratched his head. Then what are you short of? I thought about it. I need a quiet place to study. He let out a hey. Then you're probably going to be disappointed. He handed me his phone. Someone in the group shared a link. A local TV station's education program will air a special discussion next week on the May 1st Tsinghua Peking University class incident. There are 3 people on the guest list: an education expert, a mental health counselor, a student representative. The student representative's name is Talel. She signed up. She reached out to the TV station herself and said she wanted to publicly reflect on her actions as a person directly involved. I handed the phone back to Yin. Let her. You're not going. Why would I go? What if she starts talking nonsense on the show? I have a recording. June fell silent for 2 seconds. Do you realize that when you said those 3 words, you looked like you were holding the launch codes for nuclear weapons? I didn't pay him any mind, but I knew Tieli wasn't going on TV to reflect on herself. She was trying to clear her name before the college entrance exam. If she could come across on TV as a model student who publicly reflected on her mistakes and truly turned over a new leaf, it wouldn't hurt her college entrance exam at all. On the contrary, the sympathy factor would only help her score points. A story of remorse from the person involved is always more moving than a bystander's recording. This move of hers was much smarter than the one she made in her last life. Chapter 21. The TV station's recording was at the City Cultural Center. I didn't go, but Ajuan did. He secretly went live from the venue with his phone tucked into a bag in the audience seating area. The video was shaky and off-kilter, but the audio was clear. Tal was sitting in the guest section, wearing a white shirt and school trousers, her hair tied back in a ponytail with no makeup on. The host asked her, "Why did you lead the whole class on a detour back then?" She lowered her head. "Because I thought everyone had been working too hard. It was Labor Day, and while everyone else was resting, we were taking an exam. I just wanted to cheer everyone up, even if only for 10 minutes. Did you think about the consequences?" She lifted her head and her almond-shaped eyes were red. "No, Lou, I didn't. I thought 10 minutes wouldn't matter. I was just too naive, too arrogant." She paused. "I ruined the future of 41 classmates, and I felt guilty every single day. If I could do it all over again, I'd rather have locked myself at home that day and done nothing." The host turned to the education expert. "What's your take on this?" The education expert adjusted his glasses. The essence of this incident wasn't one student's wrongdoing, but a breakdown in collective psychology. 41 people, and not a single one stepped in to stop it. Wait,